Long ago, the land now called Nigeria was home to many peoples. The Nok civilization thrived in the Yos Plateau. They were skilled in ironworking. Later, powerful kingdoms emerged. In the north, there were the Hausa kingdoms and the Borno Empire. The south saw the rise of Oyo and Benin. These kingdoms were prosperous and had their own cultures and traditions. However, the arrival of Europeans would change the course of their history. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to reach the shores of Nigeria. They arrived in 1472. Their arrival marked the start of the transatlantic slave trade. This trade brought great suffering to the people of Nigeria. Millions were captured and sold into slavery in the Americas. The slave trade weakened the existing kingdoms and disrupted the social fabric of the land. It left a deep scar on the soul of the people. Despite the turmoil of the slave trade, a new force was emerging in the north. Islam had spread to Nigeria through trade and cultural exchanges. In 1809, Usman Dan Fodio founded the Sokoto Caliphate. This Islamic empire unified much of northern Nigeria under Sharia law. The Sokoto Caliphate became a center of learning and trade. It also played a significant role in resisting British expansion. The British had established a presence in Lagos in the mid-1800s. They sought to control trade routes and resources. They saw Nigeria as a valuable source of raw materials and a market for their manufactured goods. The British gradually expanded their influence inland. They used a combination of diplomacy and military force. The British used various tactics to gain control in Nigeria. One tactic was to sign treaties with local rulers. These treaties often gave the British control over trade and resources. However, these treaties were often signed under duress. Local rulers felt pressured to accept British terms. Another tactic was military force. The British had superior weapons and military organization. They launched military expeditions to subdue resistance. The Royal Niger Company, a British trading company, played a key role in these conquests. It had its own private army. The company's actions paved the way for formal British colonial rule. The British also exploited existing rivalries between different ethnic groups. They would support one group against another. This strategy of divide and rule helped them to maintain control with minimal force. It also sowed seeds of discord that would have lasting consequences. As the British expanded their control, they established a system of indirect rule. This system relied on local rulers to administer British policies. The British believed that this system would be more efficient and less disruptive. However, it also preserved the power of traditional elites. Frederick Lugard was a British soldier and colonial administrator. He played a pivotal role in the British conquest and administration of Nigeria. In 1900, he became the High Commissioner of Northern Nigeria. He set about consolidating British control over the region. He used a combination of diplomacy and military expeditions. He also created the West African Frontier Force. Lugard believed in the civilizing mission of the British Empire. He saw British rule as a way to bring progress and development to Africa. He was a proponent of indirect rule. He argued that it was the best way to govern diverse and complex societies. In 1914, he became the first Governor-General of a unified Nigeria. The unification of Nigeria under British rule was a momentous event. It brought together the diverse peoples and regions of the north and south. However, it also created new challenges. Lugard faced opposition from some quarters. Some Nigerians resisted British rule. They yearned for self-determination. Lugard's wife, Flora Shaw, was a journalist and writer. She was a strong advocate for British imperialism. She played a significant role in shaping her husband's views on colonialism. She believed in the superiority of British culture. She saw it as her duty to spread British values and institutions. The British conquest of Nigeria had a profound and lasting impact. British rule brought about significant changes in governance, infrastructure, and culture. The British introduced a new legal system, built roads and railways, and established schools and hospitals. However, these developments came at a cost. The British exploited Nigeria's resources for their own benefit. They forced farmers to grow cash crops like cocoa and peanuts. This practice disrupted traditional agricultural practices. It also made Nigeria dependent on the export of raw materials. The British also suppressed Nigerian industries. They wanted to maintain their own economic dominance. The British conquest also had a profound impact on Nigerian culture and identity. The English language became the official language of government and education. This policy disadvantaged those who did not have access to Western education. Traditional institutions and customs were undermined. The British often viewed Nigerian culture as inferior. The legacy of British colonialism in Nigeria is a complex one. It is a story of exploitation and oppression, but it is also a story of resilience and adaptation.